We are the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Services Agency for Saratoga County and also provide sexual assault services in Washington County. Sexual victimization is any unwanted sexual act, whether that's touching, whether that's hugging, whether that's forcing someone to do something they are not comfortable and don't want to do, and up to intercourse and rape. Abusers use some very common tactics when sexually victimizing people, but some are a bit more prevalent in the LGBTQ population. For example, outing. Someone may threaten to out you to your family, your workplace, if you don't comply with certain sexual acts. Gaslighting is a really common technique, especially around issues of consent. The person may manipulate your memories and your perception of what happened, saying, no, this was absolutely consensual. You were into it, when in fact you know that you weren't. You might even have said no, or you might have given off physical indications that said no, but they're trying to recreate your memories of that. Technology is a really powerful tool of abuse, and it manifests in many different ways. Oftentimes, we meet people online. That's how folks meet for dating relationships or maybe for hookups. And sometimes abusers will misrepresent themselves online. So you show up expecting to meet someone, maybe meet a partner. They show up with the intent of sexually victimizing. It can be really hard when a teenager comes out to their family and their family doesn't accept who they are. And sometimes they might run away from home and find themselves under-resourced. They can't afford food, they can't afford a place to stay. There are those who exploit that vulnerability. They might come up and sound like a friend, but then they have an ulterior motive. They may be forcing you into survival sex, or maybe even forcing you into trafficking, simply because you needed a meal and a safe place to spend the night. I think very often when somebody who is LGBTQ goes to a new provider, it can be a little bit scary. They wonder, will they get me? Will they respect who I am? Will I be treated with respect and with professionalism? And especially when we're dealing with something as traumatic and as personally sensitive as sexual victimization, it can be very hard to walk into a door that you don't know, not knowing the answers to those questions. I think for so many people who are sexually assaulted, you're just paralyzed in that moment, not knowing, what do I do now? Do I report to police? Don't I? You don't need to make that decision right away. We have a program that's called a Sexual Assault Forensic Exam Program. It can collect the evidence that if you choose to report the police, that evidence can help you in your case, but you don't need to make that decision now. And also, when you get an exam, there's a specially trained nurse who will allay your worries about, was I physically injured? Might I be pregnant? Might I have contracted a sexually transmitted infection? Sexual assault's never your fault. And if you've been assaulted, you're not alone. Wellspring is there to help.